Today on Gamers Couch.
High five, tribes! Or just 5 tribes. All the tribes.
Hi there! Happy Sunday!
Hello out there, you tribes of the digital age, the internet.
The people.
Welcome to
Our humble abode.
or couch as we call it.
So, this week we are talking about all the lovely tribes that could be in the world. Douchebags. The douchebag tribe is very famous. The lovely husband tribe is also a very famous tribe. Now, let's start off with gameplay and rules before we go into the usual like and dislike and us talking about what we experienced during the gameplay so far. And I'm heading it to this lovely creature next to me who will do all the explanation thing while I sip on my lovely coffee.
Yeah.
Make it short.
I'll try to. 5 tribes is let's say area control game where you have a number of these little fields that you arrange in a 6x5 grid and then place meeples on them, and in each of your turns you move meeples around, trigger different effects, score points, and at the end of the game you tally up all your points and find out who has won. I think the simplest way to explain this is just to go through one round, because that is exactly what will happen later on. So you determine with this lovely field and these wonderful little
Follows symbols.
I don't want to call it that yet.
The clock.
The things.
The thing. The tower.
Quick tangent. Things about that's funny for foreigners about the English language. Words like shufflecock. Now that we got that out of the way, so you determine who goes first. If you're playing a 4-player game, each one field is for one of your meeples, for 3 as well. The only difference being the 2-player game, I'm sorry, where you have 2 of these lovely things each and get to play twice around and sets everything up. So if it's your turn, you decide when you want to go first. So there's actually 2 ways to go first. One is who wants to bid first on a position, and you essentially just go along this track, and as you might have guessed, the more expensive it gets, the earlier you're allowed to start. So if you have 18 gold and pay that to the bank, you will definitely go first, because no one can go before you. A more interesting thing is, if you don't want to pay money or you don't have money, you go on this 0 field, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you go last, but if you're standing on the 0 field and somebody else goes there as well, you get pushed back a little bit. So if you're the first to go on the 0 field, you have a pretty good chance of being the last one in the entire round. So you have to sort of figure out what the opponents are going to do. Now, if it's your turn, what you're going to do is essentially, this is a very, very miniature version of the game board.
What a lovely setup.
Yeah, what a lovely small setup. As I said, you typically have 5x6 grid of these little cardboard pieces of these areas. And when your turn starts, you pick one of those for a reason that will be apparent later. Well, essentially all you do is just pick them up and then go from that tile around and place your meeples on other tiles, with the last one being the same color as at least one meeple on that tile. So if I put that on this one, I get to get the blue meeples, and those go out of the game. There's a couple of rules to obey in terms of movement. For example, you're not allowed to go one way here and then back again. You always have to go well in a 90-degree or 180-degree angle, so to speak. and place your meeples on that. And the other really important thing is the last area you land on must have a meeple with matching the color of the last meeple in your hand. Surprisingly, all the other meeples don't count that much. You just drop them off to get rid of them. So if you pick up the meeples, what you're really interested in is what is the one color you want to end with. In this case, it would have been blue. And where's the area you want to end in? And that was for me here. I had 3 meeples on this, so I went 1, 2, 3, and that's where I'm going. These meeples also determine then what happens next, and I'll go through all the different colors. But beforehand, if you should for some reason, let's pretend there was only one blue guy on this field, if you end on this and remove all the guys, you get to place your little snail camel. Well, it's supposedly a camel, but your little
Could
snail
also be a
camel
snail.
on that. And at the end of the game, you simply get to score the points for that area. In this case, that would be 6 points. Not too shabby. And last but not least, each tile also has a special action that gets triggered. Some you have to trigger, some you can decide to trigger. In this case, this one is buy a gin, which will also come later. And that is pretty much everything you do on a single turn. So it is literally staring at the board for approximately 2 or 3 hours to figure out which meeples to pick up, where to go, which combination is the best to maximize your score. Then, if the other players are still alive, execute that move, score all the points you get, and maybe claim the tile. And do all that fancy stuff. So, as you might have guessed, this game is called 5 Tribes. Now let's question, how many colors of meeples are there?
7.
5. So let's get started with what is available here. We have the yellow dudes, which are called in the German Wesir. I don't know. Wesir is also that the English word?
I don't have a clue, but I have my trusty internet to tell me.
Oriental wise guy. Sort of. Essentially, these are worth pure victory points at the end, and if you have the most, you get a bonus. And that is actually a significant bonus, depending on how many players are there. But it's always good to just collect them, and there's some other cards that might amplify the bonus you get for those. Then you have white guys. White guys are the oldest guys. Yeah, it's Vizier. Okay.
Oops.
White guys are just the old dudes who are also worth points at the end of the game, but can also be used as a currency to, well, buy a couple of stuff. Mostly that is all about buying gins or actually using the special ability of gins. And these guys, it doesn't really matter how much you pick up of them at the end of the turn for their specific actions. You just grab them, put them in front of you, and they're worth points then. Or you can spend them as a resource later on. It gets more interesting with these green dudes. The green dudes are the merchants, and you also have in this game resource cards. And at any given time, there's 9 of these cards out next to the field in an ordered fashion. What these dudes allow you is to pick the number of cards that you picked up green dudes. So if you land on a field that has literally 3 green dudes on there and you pick them up, you get to take the first 3 cards of these 9 here, and they only get refilled on the next turn. The green dudes then don't get in front of your player mat, but go back into this lovely bag of meeple.
It's the meeple hole.
Where all the meeples go that are worth nothing in terms of victory points, but worth nothing because they're useless merchants. Not quite, but they're close.
Bit of racist, huh?
No,
Nah.
I'm merchant.
Colorblind.
Whatever. Then there's the blue guys, the architects,
and the builders,
the builders
guild.
among everything. The way that works, and that might be a little bit difficult to explain. Let's go back to this one. I picked up my blue dudes from this area. What I would do then is to go around this field. So in theory, that would most likely be 9 different tiles, or like this one, this, and all these around here, and count how many of these are blue. Then I get 1 gold coin for each blue one, multiplied by the amount of blue dudes I picked up here. So I picked up 2 on this field. In this area, let's pretend this is the corner, there would be 2 blue fields, so 2 multiplied by 2. Huh?
5.
Huh? Money!
Ka-ching!
In that case, you can also amplify the effect by throwing in a couple of slaves. So each slave you have on hand and discard counts as an additional blue guy and sort of gives you more money. That is one of the few instances where actually slaves are useful, because those are somehow a hot topic among some, but at the end of the game they're just resources, and you pay them either to amplify an effect like the blue guy's effect, or to pay instead for something like the djinn powers, so you can play these slaves instead of the white guys, or in addition to white guys. And last but not least, because this is such a politically correct game, the assassin. They kill dudes. So what you do with the assassins is, if you pick up the assassins, you may either kill a white or a yellow meeple in front of another player, sort of cutting them off the. Oh, this is.
No, I'm just having dry eyes today. I'm sorry.
This is very tiring. She doesn't know this. The poison, the assassin's poison.
What? What?
So you can actively harm someone's victory points, which is one of the few direct interactions you have in this game with other players, except for, well, grabbing stuff before they can do it. Or you can kill another meeple on the board and remove them from play. And yes, if that was the last one, you also get to claim that tile. So assassins would technically allow you to take 2 tiles in 1 turn and score the points at the end of the game for that. And that's what the 5 tribes do. So essentially you look at the board, try to figure out, hey, first of all, which meeples are available? Can I get to that point that I want to? Because remember, you have to land on a space where at least another meeple of your color is, to remove that and use the special ability. If at any point there is no way to do that, the game ends, because that is one of the ending conditions to go forward. If there's no valid move available anymore, that's when everything is done. But we're not quite there yet, because there's another thing. I said you have these tiles, and they have different different special abilities, all in the. That's the correct one. All here in the lower corner. Some like, for example, this one, which says you may pay 6 gold and take 2 of the resource cards from the first 6 that are available to you. So similar to the green guys, but not quite. Then there's actually 2 different tiles. This one says place a palace. There's another one that says place an oasis. More wooden pieces that essentially just enhance the point value of that tile that you might score if you have your camel snail on the area. Mm-hmm. Actually, we'll talk about this later.
Mm-hmm.
But it's,
don't spoil it.
Someone who has built a lot of palaces.
Shh. You spoiled it.
I don't. I'm just remarking that.
I'm beeping you out with spoiler alert whenever you said something in that section. I promise if you go on.
Yeah, it's a
spoiler
so
alert.
this video starts with me.
No, I cut my words spoiler alert over you. If you continue to spoil.
Then there's also a tile effect that lets you buy a gin. And there's always 3 gins available for purchase. You still have to pay at least one oldest guy, so one white guy, plus another white guy, or plus a slave. So it's 2 meeples for a single gin if you want to have them. Gins themselves also come with a point value and are obviously worth points at the end, but also give you some special abilities. For example, Burak, and I hopefully didn't butcher his name too badly, allows you to, once per turn, pay an oldest guy or a slave to place a palace on any tile that you can place a palace on. So you could use this guy to enhance your tiles that you already own that allows for placing palace. The same dude, but for oases and so on and so on. Then there's some that have a more passive effect, like as long as you own that gin, somebody else is not allowed to kill the meeple in front of you, and so on. And the only thing that's now missing before we go into the scoring tally at the end of the game is these goods. Now, as I said, there's slaves is one kind of good, but there's also other kinds of goods. And these are also worth points at the end of the game, or you can sell them during the game for money. And the way it works is this is essentially a set collection. The more unique items you have and are able to give away, the more money or more points you're getting for them. And that scales up to, if you just sell one good, you get 1 gold coin for that. But if you have 3 unique items, like I do here, those are worth 7 gold points, and so on and so on. So if you end up with 9 different, you get 60 points for that, which is like ludicrous high to get things together. And at the end, and I'm sort of only showing this quickly because there's our score of the last game. You go, if the game ends, you go through this and then tally up everything. And as I said, the game ends either if you're not available, or have no available moves anymore, or if someone runs out of snail camels. And that's the game.
Thank you for this great explanation run, dear husband.
Yes, this was
totally cool. Okay. Now
I will drink the coffee.
Yeah, while I announce the next segment of the vlog, which is, as every week, likes and dislikes, as well as our great rating of the game. So, dear sweetheart, what did you like or not like about the game? Though we have to mention we didn't play it with 3 or 4 players, we just have input on the 2-player games so far. Just saying.
Oh, why don't you start this time?
Because I asked you first.
Because you didn't make up your mind.
No, I did.
I see. What did I... So...
Now I have to drink coffee.
So the thing I really like about this game is that entire pick-up meeples try to figure out which available options do you have. And this is way more apparent in the 2-player game because you get, in certain occasions, you get to move twice after each other, or if you're lucky, you could move 4 times after each other, saying you are the last to go on the first turn, so you get to move on turn 3 and 4, and in the next round you get on the first and second place with your little duties here. That essentially means you get 4 consecutive moves and could string together some really awesome combo, but that again, it might be chalked up to one of the negatives, which isn't so much a negative as long as you're aware of it, and you might have to embed something like a chess clock, because this is like analysis paralysis kingdom of all the tribes, because you end up staring at the board and you will catch yourself more than once saying, I really want to pick up these dudes and I really want to go there. And everybody knows this is actually not possible, but you will stare at that board so long in the hopes that it will become possible and that you find a way, a combination to get to the tile that you want to go to, which has its own fun merit in certain regards.
Especially if you use very colorful language while you think about things.
But just as a word of caution, if you're typically playing with someone who likes to take his or her time to figure out what to do, this could be a very slow game and might become unenjoyable for that. Luckily for us, that didn't happen when we played. So I just put that out as a mention that this might be something.
Well, really take a clock with you. It's fine. I mean, it doesn't take away anything from the game if you go with, I don't know, one of those clocks from Taboo or something, or that you have in any other great family games. Just or go with a timer on an iPhone or whatever.
I also
product placement.
I also like in the general artwork. I really like the gins that are, well, they might have been even cooler if they come with some thicker cardboard, but I'm fine with this as well. The mechanics of the gins are interesting as well, because that always gives a little twist on what somebody can do, and if you really want to keep track of what somebody else has as an option, that is also an interesting mind game going on, because you start not only looking then to the board in terms of what combo can you do to maximize your points, but you also start to look at the board, okay, if I do that, what is the board I leave for the next player? And do I set them up to some really high scoring move, or do I screw them over, or can they do something that they get extra points with whatever special ability they have or might pick up using the gins. And in addition to that, with the tile abilities, so this having a randomly set up board together with the sort of random special abilities that the available gins bring to the table, that makes a quite interesting package. This is not so much as a game of Go or any other game where you only play for board control in some way or form, and it's also not only just point salad in terms of you can do so many things. You can do a lot of things with all those little meeples that are available to you, but it almost always felt to me playing this that I had more than one option available at any given time, and I could make a conscious decision: do I want to move towards more points for myself? Do I want to move towards more gin special abilities? Do I want to remove points from Sarah for well, assassinating meeples in front of her, and so on and so on. And all of that complexity, this is still a simple game. I mean, I think this went rather quickly explaining how it goes. Once you have things set up, everything sort of starts to make sense, fall into place if you grab your meeples and move across the board and do stuff. I was quite surprised, because that at first glance this looked quite involved in terms of being thinky. And yes, it is thinky, but you can get started really quick, which actually, in my opinion, makes it for a great family game. Maybe not if you have little children, but if they're getting a little bit older and
around 10.
Are more into thinking at least one or two moves ahead, so to speak. Yeah, but I think that is I can understand all the hype that came from. I think it was from Gen Con when this was announced. This is a colorful game. It has some really mind-challenging mechanics to it. It is again easily set up, which I think makes it a very strong candidate for a Game of the Year family sort of thing for next year.
I didn't read the manual on this one, so I gotta ask you, how did you like the manual? Was it clean and and easy to read before you set up?
In fact,
because I didn't take a look at that.
In fact, this is the entirety of the manual. Yes, there are games who have even less things, but these are 4 pages of
and
manual.
a lot of pictures, as I see now. So it's more pictures than text. Okay.
And there's a lot of pictures. And what I just explained when I said how you can move the meeples, you can see there's almost 2 pages dedicated to just that, trying to illustrate how everything works. Yeah, I read this and was I felt just after reading this without looking at the components, I was very confident with setting everything up and being able to run it without looking up things. And
yeah, we didn't check the manual once at our first game.
Yeah,
so.
and also every player gets one of these player mats that describe what each of the tribes does, how many points everything is worth, what you do on a certain tile, and on the other side every djinn is explained and how their special ability works. And yeah, I think you can't ask for more than that. It is very accessible in terms of rules and explanation, and you can get started really quickly. And I think that is one of the games, as a sort of final verdict, that fall for me into the category easy to learn, hard to master. And I really like it for that.
That's nice. Well, I start off with the components. As you all know, I'm very big on having lovely, beautiful artwork at the games and have high quality components, and the game definitely delivers on that. The wooden pieces are gorgeous. They're very well produced. The artwork on the cards, the tiles, the cardboard is really good. There's no offset with the prints or anything, so this is a very nice, very well manufactured game. As for the gameplay, I find this one very interesting because it reminds me a teeny tiny bit. Yeah, it's a worker area control game, but it has certain qualities of worker placement just by how which meeples do you start with when you pick them up, how do you arrange them, which color are you going to drop last, so what are you going to do with it. It has that feel of I'm going to go on the 2 orange cube spot at Lords of Waterdeep, for example, which I like a lot.
So it's not so much as somebody else takes away the space.
No, but you have to
takes away the meeples to get to the
you
space.
have to activate that space, and there are very many possibilities to get there depending on which meeples are on which tile, which is chosen randomly. You just grab them blindly from the back and put them down on the tiles. Also, the tiles are shuffled in the beginning and are put down randomly, which, in my opinion, adds a lot to replayability. And I like that very much with the game. You don't get tired of it, and while you play, you have a handful of different strategies that you can go for. You can be active, you can be more on the passive, you can really try to kill the other meeples of your opponents, and you can say, no, I'm the nice guy, but I'm focusing on buying things or setting down my snail camels or whatever. Also, what I find interesting, and I'm not sure yet where I come down on that, because we have to play way more and with more than 2 players to for me to have a final opinion. Yes, Snaily, all is good. had the feeling that some djinns are more powerful than others, especially in the two-player game. The one giving you the opportunity to put down palaces or oases on any tile. I find that way more useful than, for example, the djinn that I had, that he couldn't kill my dudes. In the end, that was the thing that made him win. No.
You're going into the next section already.
No, I'm not going any further on that topic. But I'm very curious for future games how the different djinns play, and if some are stronger than others, if they are maybe only stronger in two-player games, not in four-player games, and things like that. So I don't have an opinion on that part yet. I'm unsure about the genies. All the other stuff, again, it's a game also with the insight. It's out of the box. You play it right out of the box. You don't have to set huge things up, like having tons of piles of money and whatnot on the table, so you can play it even on a smaller area, which I like a lot. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I agree with him saying that if you have people on the table that are not the fastest on deciding things, go with the clock. Go with, I don't know, some kind of mechanism to have that game go on and not be stuck. Because it really hinders the fun if you stare at the board for 2 hours. It's just not great if you have a quick back and forth interaction with your turns. That's way more fun in my humble opinion. So I really like it. It will get a lot of playtime on our table, I think. And I think this game actually is perfect for our parents' gaming group. I think especially my mom would really like this game.
Yeah, as I said.
Because it's a puzzle, it's a bejeweled puzzle in a worker and area control, and also collecting things with the resources, and you have so many ways to win. And another thing I just have to add, although you can see on the board, or you can, the meeples are open, so you can kind of guess what amount of victory points your opponent has at a given point. You can't really tell until you add up all of the different areas of points that you get at the end of the game. So yeah, the frustration factor of losing kicks in very, very late, yeah, which makes the game also more fun.
I think the only thing that is sort of hidden, or at least hinted at by the menu to be sort of hidden, is money. Where
yeah, and
you still have everybody's still able to see how much money you have in terms of how many coins you have, but you are allowed to stack them so that they don't see if it's a five gold coin or a 1 gold coin.
Yeah, also the resources. I did lose track at one point which resources you had.
The Rain Man caliber of gamer, there's no hidden information for you in this game at all, because everything someone buys, draws, and does stuff is always an open decision. You always see which resource cards someone gets from the display that's available. You always see what genie they have in front of them. And you see on which tiles their camels are, how many points are they have in front of them. So yeah, there's not a lot of hidden information there, but then again, there's quite a lot of go through to calculate. And well, maybe that's just me, but I don't find it particularly fun to literally discern during the game at all time how many points someone else has. And
no, it's just
I just
guess.
go for a gut feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to add to the gin thing. I think the one of the problems there is not necessarily that the gin is super overpowered, but if you let someone, another player, focus on one particular way to score points, he or she will probably run away with it. In terms of with those palaces and the oases, you only get to play as many of these on the board as there are available in this big box of wood, big bag of wood, and
But
once
the bag is plastic.
and once these are gone, you don't get any more points, even if you would have the ability to put them down. But if someone starts early and piles them on his or his area, that is worth a lot of points, and either you don't block someone from doing that because you have something else to do that nets you more points, and if you don't, you sort of have to block someone from doing that, just to deny them from scoring so many points, which might be a particular problem in our two-player game, and might not be as apparent in a four-player game, because you have more people going for oases or for setting up more than one guy playing for a palace, and have a little bit more evenly distributed things to go for. At least that's my opinion. Also, if you're playing with more than two, if someone seems to be very strong, other guys would look into how can I deny points, how can I keep them from running away.
They team up on you fairly quickly, which is impossible with a two-player game. Let's go into rating. 1 to awesome. What is your rating?
I would say this gets five tribes out of 4 gins.
And now, Bruno, if you see that, you can try to find out what he's actually saying.
I think people understand that.
Oh,
I
sure.
do enjoy this game. This is certainly
very much so.
I would say this is not a game I would play every weekend. But this is certainly a game if someone comes up and says, "Hey, let's have a family evening, something. Do we want to bring out 5 tribes?" This is the game I would go for. And if you are a family and need something that is a little bit more involved and are still looking for a good replacement for that Settlers of Catan robber that screws you over all the time, he is a very good contender to that. It's very hard to compare because they are so different games, but for me, both these games fit the same audience in terms of a family game that you can play and have some interesting decisions. Obviously, you don't have any trading here, but it fits in my mind. It fits that spot where you have the family game that you bring to the table to play with your parents or with your siblings and whatnot.
If you have any.
Otherwise,
you have to take the duck.
Yes. Yeah. And as we all know, the duck always wins by these games.
He does. He really does. If he's the third player with us, he wins.
Yeah, random drawing duck is always the winning duck.
Yeah. Well, on my very great scale of 1 to awesome, this game is awesome. It's a 10. And I wouldn't go with Settlers of Catan because I just didn't play it as much, so I'm not that one who's annoyed by that mechanism. But I would actually set it with Carcassonne. We played Carcassonne a lot.
Yeah. Also a game with a very different mechanic, but same
yeah,
audience.
But it's also pretty much the same length of time that we would use to play around 5 tribes. And I think it would replace Carcassonne the Castle quite a bit for us because we just played that game a lot. it's not a dinner game, but it is a game where we have maybe like 15 minutes more, and we don't bring out Love Letter or Quakes, but we bring out Carcassonne or King of Tokyo or now Five Tribes. So it's in that category, and it has a very solid standing in that category for me, and we'll get a lot of playtime again with the gaming nights with our parents. In both gaming groups, I think this is very, very good to be at the table and be enjoyed. And I really like the puzzling factor of that game. I love puzzles.
The combos,
yeah,
the patterns that emerge from.
Yeah, I love puzzles anyway, and the meeple puzzle in this game is a huge factor for me liking this game so much. So
yeah,
awesome.
I'm not surprised, because
you know me. Why would you be surprised?
Well, for me, if you while playing this game, this is almost like watching the 5-colored version of A Game of Life, where you just see the board, how it permutes into different states with all these meeples around. And I think that might also be a very apt description of this game. You have a lot more rules for how meeples stay in the game and how you move them. But you have this board in front of you that keeps on forming different patterns, different colors, and it's just nice to look at. It's an interesting thing. It's every time when we played this, every time I looked at the board, I was looking to find something interesting, and each turn I found some interesting move that
and more than one. And I had actually, especially in the earlier moves, like when there were more options on the table, I was having trouble, like quote-unquote trouble, to decide which of those options I'm going to use now, or what is most likely that he's doing. So how can I screw his move? What can I take away? And most times I had the feeling that he had 3 options planned out, and if I was taking one of them away, he just said, okay, I'm going to do this one, and it is just as useful to me. So the less meeples there were on the plate, on the board, the more bitchy I could be with my moves, or the more I could screw him. But that also goes in the other direction, and he was I had the djinn that didn't allow him to kill my meeples, but he had the djinn that would let him put the palace, and he had the one with the oasis thing as well. So he had a shitload of points in the end, putting down on one tile he had 6 palaces. 6! Count them! 6! Which is like so many points, and also he had more snail camels put down than I, so I was way stronger on the builder and merchant thing, and did more there, but you were with the palaces and the oasis.
I'm looking at our scores, and right after the game you told me that I had won because of the palaces. Actually,
35-0.
So I had 35 points on that. However, you had just 25 points combined, where I had none in terms of gold and Elder Skies. So I only had
I killed his white meeples and yellow meeples.
The only thing so in most scoring areas I had a 5 to 10 point advantage, but it's not not super clear that you could say that is the one thing that won me the game by 50 points.
But here you had the 10 bonus, otherwise it would be, with the yellow dudes, it would be 8 versus 5. So there it was just the bonus that really saved him.
The thing where I scored the most is the value of the djinns.
Yeah, because you had 3 djinns, I had 1 or 2.
No, 2.
No, 1.
I had 2. Yeah, no, I had 3, you're right.
I had 1 djinn, yeah. And but I had way more with the collection of goods.
And
so
no, so the game ended with me having 170 points and Sarah.
and I have
130.
to check again if you counted correctly.
Probably not because math. Um,
You should let me count, and I get a bonus for that.
I don't think this.
But it's really fun, and with this game, although if you saw a couple of episodes of the Gamers Couch and also earlier episodes of Talk O'Clock, you know that I'm very competitive at games, especially when I'm playing against this beautiful creature here. But what I find very strange with this one is that I didn't mind as much losing, or I had so much fun playing it that I think it's because of the puzzle factor, because that is really a highlight for me in the game, that I didn't mind having him win. The frustration factor was like 0.5, which is low for me. Usually it's up at 20 something, which means 20 seconds in I'm frustrated if I see that he wins. But with this one, no, the gameplay is so enjoyable for me that I didn't mind you being the winner for one game, because now I'm only going to win all the future games, of course. No?
Yeah,
I thought I would.
all in all, I have to say. So this, I don't want to call this a pleasant surprise, same way as other games we picked up at Essen, because so Five Tribes already was on our shortlist to grab if we see it at Essen, but it was more like yeah, that is certainly a game I don't need to go and rush out and grab it.
We could also order it later on Amazon, but it will definitely be on our shelf at one point.
Yeah. So
it was in that category.
So when we were running around the booth, it literally we saw Bruno Cathala sitting there next, all sort of at a lonely table, no other one standing in front of them. So we had to grab a copy because, I mean, when do you have the chance to meet the designer and just say, hey...
and the illustrator and the author of the game, and get cool, signatures and a great painting, and also a lovely chat with them.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to chat with those guys.
Very, very nice, very, very humble.
Yeah. Very sweet, very sweet people, and on one hand, surprisingly, because especially Bruno is quite a big name in the industry. But then again, if I think back to all the designers that we met so far, he's also one of the humble guys, which we. It's no exception.
It's
cool.
So it's no surprise that these people are nice folks. It's just I think I just want to make a point once in a while that every designer we meet or get to talk to are super nice and
very sweet, lovely people.
And you can always almost every time tell that the passion for board games is certainly something that makes better people in this world. So if you don't play board games, you are, not a good person. I'm sorry.
It's like,
So if you want to give it a try, Five Tribes is a good way to get started.
Get into the hobby. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
And I think these were
also, why, if you're not playing board, why?
What are you doing?
What? Go buy games now.
Let's say goodbye quickly so that they can go.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a very lovely week, y'all. We're going to see you next Sunday with a new Gamers Couch. The duck will maybe win or maybe not win. It's not a gin. It's a duck.
But it looks like a. So if I
don't drop him.
Does he? Is there gin coming?
No, it's not. Don't go there. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, all the lovely things, and we're going to see you next week. Have a very good one. Goodbye.
Goodbye, tribes of the internet.
That's the 6th tribe, right?
No, there's goodbye.
Bye.